everyone, my name is Brittany Verlenich. I am a content strategist, social media manager, and the host of the Social Media Magic podcast. And I'm so glad you're here because I know that time is your most precious, invaluable, non-renewable resource, and you've chosen to spend a part of that day with me, and I am so grateful. Thank you so much. So it is my goal, it is my hope, it is my plan to ensure that you leave this session feeling super inspired, motivated, and having really practical tips to help you with your marketing, because it can be really overwhelming. There is so much advice, and especially at an event like this, when you're hearing multiple and possibly even conflicting messages, you're going to hear some people talk about how they have gone all the way in, maybe into Instagram or TikTok, and they're getting sales directly from that. You're going to hear some people say social media is dead and you should only focus on email and SEO. And the thing is, everybody is speaking from their own personal experience and what has worked for them. So I just want to make sure that I add that disclaimer, and not only for any marketing that you consume ever, because at the end of the day, we all have our own message and our own motivations for sharing what we do, but also for my own content. I want you to listen and be open-minded because I do feel like that's how we learn best. You know that as an educator, but also listen with a grain of salt, because maybe something I share doesn't work for you, or maybe it's not a way you want to do something, and that is totally fine. I know that you are an empowered person and you can make decisions for yourself. That's why you're a business owner, right? You decided to go into business. You decided to take this seriously. This is not a hobby hustle anymore, right? We are making money. That is what I'm hoping to help you do. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my journey and how I made $400 on my first month on TPT. Disclaimer, that is not normal for everybody, and that does not mean that I make oodles of money every single month. That's not true either. But my hope is that it can inspire and motivate you, and that you can take what you can glean from that and use it yourself. Ready to dive in? Let's go. When we talk about teacher seller growth, of course, at the end of the day, we all want to make more money, right? We're growing our businesses as far as our revenue, our income, our take-home pay, our bank accounts, and that is totally understandable. I know that when I was first starting all this stuff, I didn't want to hear any of the mindset stuff because I thought that doesn't have anything to do with making money. I need practical, tangible tips. Give me stuff I can do. Yes, we do need that, and I will be getting to that in my presentation, but I also do want to touch on the mindset piece because I truly do believe the mindset I have had, my total willingness to experiment and play and crash and burn and fail a lot, is also what's helped me be successful, and I'm hoping to impart that upon you too. I know that's scary. Teachers really like to have a plan. We really like for everything to look good. My first piece of advice for you would be to just drop the ego and not worry so much about everything looking good 100% of the time. I totally understand and respect. That's part of some of y'all's brand. And some of you have these amazing resources that are beautiful and meticulously designed. And that is such a beautiful thing and a gift that you have. And maybe you do have the Pinterest perfect classroom. You do have beautiful bulletin boards. And if so, that's great. But the thing is, we do not have the luxury of perfectionism when it comes to our businesses. So if there's one thing you take away from my session, it would be to drop the perfectionism. You can always go back and perfect and prettify things later, but you have to start somewhere. And that growth is going to happen the faster you're willing to fail. Are you still with me? I hope so. When we're talking about teacher seller growth, we're not just talking about income. We're also talking about growing our grit, growing our emotional maturity. When things fail, when a launch goes wrong, what do? Do we freak out? Do we give up? It's understandable why you would, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But if you can nurture your mind, and if you can be really mindful of the content that you consume, of what you take in, how you process information, how you choose what you consume, how you make decisions, that is going to be the most powerful thing that you do and choose to nurture. First, we're going to talk about the usual path for TPT, seller, teacher, author, whatever you want to call yourself. This is usually how it goes. You have an in-class resource, you've had some success with it, with your students, and you're like, oh, you know what? Other teachers have asked me about this. My colleagues have said this is really great. I am going to go ahead and make this into a resource on TPT. Let's just throw it up and see what happens. At this point, you're probably a casual seller. You're doing this as a hobby. You don't even know if it's going to make money. Or maybe you're just hoping it'll be a business, right? And you make $2 and you're like, yes, we are in business, right? If that's been you, you are totally in the norm here. There's nothing wrong with this path, but I'm going to explain why it can lead to some problems in a minute. So you throw it up on TPT, you've had some success, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to start taking some courses. You probably discovered Misty. Maybe you discovered one of our podcasts and you think, okay, I am going to learn about whatever this SEO thing is, search engine optimization. I'm going to learn about product covers, thumbnails, previews, listing descriptions, copywriting. What are all these things? That's when all the stuff is starting to creep in, right? You were having a good time. You were in experimentation mode. You were playing, you were creating. And now it's time to get strategic and you are stressing out. And then you start thinking, oh no, TPT might not actually be enough. I actually have to grow my own business and brand off of TPT. TPT is just one place, one marketplace. Maybe I want to list on Amazon KDP. Maybe I also want to sell on Etsy. Maybe I want to sell on Classful. All these other things I'm finding out about. And I need to have my own audience. Email marketing. Everybody's telling me I have to have an email list. What is an email list? Oh, I have to grow it using a freebie. But what's a freebie? Aren't I trying to make money? Why am I doing free things? It's understandable that what comes next is a whole bunch of content clutter. So let me just see if this is familiar to you, right? I did this intentionally, this visual, because I think it really encapsulates what a lot of us are going through right now, especially with summits like this. This is an amazing summit. I'm looking at the speaking roster. I feel so privileged to be a part of it, by the way. These are amazing people teaching incredible practical things. We're talking about email marketing, list building, summits, bundles, Pinterest marketing, Pinterest ads. I mean, ads is like its own whole subsection, right? You have Facebook ads, Google ads, Facebook groups, which is one thing I love doing. Instagram, like literally there are a million things, even when it just comes to list building, growing your email list, and audience building, which are connected. And so I can totally understand why one of the next few things happens. Let me know if you can relate to any of these feelings, right? Head in your hands, you're like, oh my gosh, my brain is full. I joke about this sometimes. My brain is full. I can't learn anything else. I am overwhelmed. I have too much information. And we also live in a post-information era with the rise of AI, with the internet just being what it is. We have over 10,000 years of information all available to us instantly, online, all the time. It's a blessing and it's a curse. And it's no different when it comes to marketing and TPT. Or maybe it's actually showing up as obsession for you. You are constantly refreshing your email to see if any sales were made. You're looking at your analytics. You're looking at your marketing dashboard. Where is my traffic coming from? Are those UTM links actually working? Is anything I'm doing actually working? Neither of these things are healthy, right? We need a little bit of all of them to stay motivated, but a little bit of too much can be unhealthy. Or maybe you're just like, I give up. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to take a break. There's nothing wrong with taking a break, by the way, but maybe you just get into apathy where you're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not really going to listen to the podcast. I'm not going to listen to anybody anymore. I'm not going to keep doing these summits and bundles and things because literally nothing works. I've been there before too. Or frustration where you just want to take your laptop and hit it over a desk. Maybe you've gotten a really bad review. You get those 2-3-star reviews or even a 4-star review and they say they love it and nothing would change. And you're like, then why did you not give me 5 stars? Frustration is totally normal. But you can also see where all of these feelings and the results of the feelings can lead you to just giving up. Business is hard, but you can do hard things. You've told your students that. Do you believe it for yourself? Because I'm telling you, that belief, that self-belief is what's really going to make the difference on top of all the strategy. Because you can have every strategy in the world. You can be online everywhere all the time and still not succeed because you don't truly believe it's possible. Because if you don't believe it's possible, you're not going to do the things required when you don't feel like it. That's another big thing. Don't just do things when you feel like it. You're always going to be tired. You're always going to want to just relax instead of work. Like, who wants to work over relax? But I do know that if I give up, and I remind myself of this all the time when I do feel unmotivated, then I have a 100% chance of not getting what I want. When I am feeling stressed, one thing that I do is going back to the basics. By the way, feel free to take a screenshot, take a picture, write these down because I don't expect you to be able to sit there and journal on these and really give them your full time and attention when you're just watching this right now. But why did you start? For me, it was honestly just to see what could happen. I will say I did get lucky. It was a little bit of luck, as I feel it usually is. If you have a product go viral, if media publicity picks you up somewhere, if somebody shares something in a great Facebook group and you get a big boost in sales, these things can happen. And I don't want to say that luck isn't a part of it, but I do think that luck has to meet some kind of preparation to have success, and you have to have some kind of excellence in order for that luck to work for you. A product's not going to go viral if it's not good. We want to have excellent stuff. Excellent work is always the best marketing. But anyway, getting off into a tangent. Why did you start this? What made you decide that you were going to create quality resources for teachers, for students? What kind of impact were you looking and are you looking to have? That's the why for the customer, but also for you. Why did you personally start? So a little bit about my story. I love teaching, just teaching, right? I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I love teaching. I feel like this is teaching right now. But I did not enjoy the rest of the stuff that went with it. I felt like I was being micromanaged all the time. I love being creative, and yet I felt like that was being stifled because of all the things that we have to do. And I felt like we were setting a bad precedent and example for the kids in that way. We're telling them, no, you have to have this super structured, rigid thing every single day, and you have to just do what you're told. We have competing goals here. And I also felt like we were academically failing the kids. And I just couldn't be a part of that anymore. That constant feeling of not doing enough, not being enough. By the way, that can carry over in the TPT. Can anyone feel that way? You feel like you're not doing enough? It's okay if you have felt that way. It's okay if you feel that way now. I'm not telling you to not feel something, but I do want to challenge you and think, well, is that thought productive? And if not, can I choose a better thought? If you wanted to start to be able to provide, maybe even just paying for the electricity bill for your family, are you meeting that goal? If not, is there something else taking you away from that goal that you can eliminate in order to make it happen? Do you just need to refocus? I just wanted to see what can happen. And I do think that lighthearted, playful willingness to experiment, the willingness to fail because you have nothing to lose, was really helpful. It's really helpful for getting started. But there has to be something else a little bit deeper that keeps you going. Why did you start? And I really want you to take some time and reflect on that and think about that, journal around that. Why did you start? Does it align with why you're still going? And it's okay if that has changed. But getting focused on that is really going to help you because you are not always going to feel inspired. You are not always going to feel motivated. You're often going to feel stressed, angry, overwhelmed, apathetic, like giving up. There has to be something a little deeper, a little higher minded to keep you wanting to go. And that's a personal motivation. Like, why do you want to make money? And if you keep just asking yourself why, I've heard this from Chloe Taskoff in one of her courses. She talks about the deeper levels of why. I think Simon Sinek also covers that. If you even just go to YouTube and go to 7 levels of why or deeper why, you'll see a lot of resources on that. And it sounds a little woo-woo. I'm honestly actually a pretty practical person, but it just makes sense to stay focused on that. And knowing that greater why, what do you want to accomplish in order to make that bigger why happen? I started in 2020, and I had the pleasure and the privilege of being someone who was already super adept at Google Classroom. I used Google Classroom for everything before it was really even popular. I figured out ways to automate grading. I figured out ways to import sheets and have students use that for math. I figured out a way to have students write in Google Docs. I had amassed all this knowledge with Google, and also I'm just pretty techie. I started sharing ideas on YouTube, on a Facebook page. I didn't have much of an audience that was targeted. I actually had a travel blog before this. I talk about this all the time on my podcast. I do have the Social Media Magic podcast if you're interested in learning more about marketing beyond TPT stuff. I had 2,000 to 3,000 followers when I started selling, but they were not directly interested really at first, right? I do know that a lot of teachers needed help with Google because they were doing printable stuff before. So I did share in that group. And before you write that off and saying like, oh, she had the audience first, my path was different. It was not the normal path. I had a community. I was creating content because that's what I love to do. In fact, a lot of the stuff I like to do is the stuff sellers usually don't like to do. I like making videos. I like podcasting. I like copywriting. I like doing all the product descriptions and the SEO and stuff. And I actually love designing websites and writing blog posts. I love all that stuff. So I figured, oh, why don't I just help sellers do this stuff, which is now what I do. But what do you want to accomplish that's going to meet your greater why? We'll talk about goals and milestones in a minute. Why do you want to accomplish it? If you know that starting a podcast is going to help you grow your audience, why a podcast? Is it something that's powerful about the spoken word that you really believe in? Is it just practically that you're thinking, I'm not really going to be able to realistically show up on video every single day or week, but I can handle a podcast? Or maybe you love to write, and so you're going to start a blog with the why in mind of, okay, I need to grow my email list because I don't just want to rely on TPT. Therefore, I am going to start a blog that will drive traffic to my freebie, therefore to my email list. And the blog is going to be about XYZ to help Y person. Having this kind of filter and decision-making system is really good before you start any one thing. What will life look like when you accomplish it? This is something I've also asked myself, and something I realized recently. I left the classroom after I was able to replace my teaching income fully with freelancing stuff. And the reason for that was I was making money on TPT. I was making money from my travel blog. A lot of the travel blog stuff is seasonal. And I was leading trips and doing all these fun things seasonally during summer, but I knew I needed to have full-time income, right? It's that whole security idea of then being able to provide for myself. So I was able to replace my income really quickly, like within 2 to 3 months of offering freelancing and coaching services. And then TPT started growing because now I had the time to be just playing around again. Like what helped me be successful in the beginning is what's helping me be successful on there now. I realized though that I was spending all of my waking hours just working, even though I wasn't teaching anymore. When I thought about the kind of life I wanted to live, I wanted to be able to go hiking. I wanted to be able to travel whenever I want. And I realized I was actually kind of creating that prison for myself when I was teaching, and even when I was freelancing a little bit at the beginning of full-time. I could have just chosen to do those things. If you want to have those beautiful mornings where you have a coffee or a tea or something on your front porch, you can just do that now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait until you meet some big money milestone, although having the money helps. So what can you do right now to make your life look more like that? I made $400 my first month on TPT. And sometimes I'm scared to tell people that because one, I don't want to set any false or unrealistic expectations of what's possible, because anything is possible. I mean, maybe you'll make $10,000 in your first month, or maybe you got to 4 figures really quickly or 5 figures really quickly. All of that is possible, but it's not the usual path, right? Because a lot of teachers throw things up on TPT when they're in the classroom because they don't really have the mental energy or capacity to devote time and energy to it like a proper business. And there's nothing wrong with that. Usually it's a slow build, it's a grind over time, and then they start to see some work months or years after they started. And if that's you, that's okay. Although there are things I think you can do to kind of light a fire under yourself. I had a small community already at the beginning. I do think it's important to say that. I didn't start from absolute scratch when I decided to launch my TPT store. I was living and teaching on a reservation at the time. I knew that a lot of the students I had were going to be behind technologically to their peers when they went to college or even high school if they moved off the res. I felt like I had an extra layer of duty to make sure that these kids were competitive to their peers. The achievement gap is just so high for students on reservations, and that's still something that's really important to me. If you're interested in that stuff, I have a separate blog and Instagram about it. You can go on Teach Blog Travel where I talk more about that stuff. Anyway, when I decided to share all that with other teachers at my school and people were like, can I have that resource that you made? How did you use Google Classroom to differentiate? How do you do all these little things? And I started just sharing. I started sharing in the group, even though it was a travel group. As you can imagine, in 2020, travel basically shut down overnight. I had this group of 2,000 to 3,000 teachers at the time from when I was building a travel blog, because I had been doing that, and they needed help with Google too, or they knew someone who did. So I would go live in there. I would offer help. I also made a separate Facebook group and said, hey, I'm making a group specifically for this stuff, for Google Classroom. Anyone who wants to learn about that, come on over. What I did there was called list segmentation. I had a bigger list of people who were interested in my trips, in traveling. I also offered group tours and did stuff as a travel agent. So I was basically saying, choose your own adventure. What are you interested in? If you want to learn more about Google Classroom and tech tips, then come on over. And people were interested in that. They wanted to know how they could teach writing live in real time with Google Docs. They wanted to know how they could use Google Sheets to teach math and how to grade it really quickly. They wanted to know how they could automate their grading so they weren't spending hours and hours doing that. And I was teaching them how to do that. So a couple of things there that I didn't even realize I was doing at the time. Again, list segmentation. I was figuring out what are the different groups of people in my audience and what do they each need. Not everybody who is on your list is necessarily going to be interested in every type of content or product you have. You probably have 3 to 5 content pillars already based on what you offer. Maybe you just do 3rd grade and it's like ELA, 3rd grade math, 3rd grade social studies. Maybe the teacher is really good at one thing, but they need the other thing. So being able to use an email service provider like ConvertKit, for example, and being able to tag is one really practical tip you can do today. Is you can start adding tags to certain freebies and opt-ins if you are list building so that people go into different lists or sub-lists by segmenting your audience. Or if you want a scrappier version of that, you can create different Facebook groups, which I have done, but it takes a little more energy to stay on top of it because each group needs to stay engaged. I also knew very clearly what my special sauce was. I knew what I was good at. I knew what I was not good at. I knew a little bit about SEO already because I had been blogging. So I took what I knew there and was able to adapt really quickly to the TPT marketplace. I also had a store on eBay back in the day. Surprisingly, I was able to transfer a lot of my skills from there to digital products. So even though I made $400 my first month, I didn't start truly from zero or truly from scratch. And I think it's really important for you to hear that because one, we should never really compare ourselves to other people anyway. You'll even hear Misty say that because every single person has different gifts, different strengths. We're all starting at different places, but don't fall into victim mode either. It's really easy to hear that and go, oh, well, that makes sense. Your success isn't valid, which is not really productive either for me or for you. What are those things that you have that are setting you apart from other people? What is going to make you competitive? What can save you time? Because you're not truly starting from scratch or from zero either. You have all of this teaching knowledge. You have a knowledge of the standards. You have some benefits to people who are doing TPT full-time. Ask any full-time TPT seller and they're going to probably tell you, sometimes I wish I was still in the classroom so I could use in-class photos, so I could use props. Now they have to buy stuff that was probably already in their classroom. They're not teaching every day, so they don't have that in-time relevance or trends that you do without even realizing that you do. They're not talking to kids every day, so they're not using their language. They don't know what's trending with them. So no one is truly starting from scratch. What is your journey? What do you want? What do you want to focus on? And what are the different things that you can do, the different goals and milestones you can set on the way to your ultimate goal, your ultimate milestone, is what's going to make all the difference for you. I ended up loving all of the marketing stuff at TPT so much that I decided I wanted to help other sellers with their marketing. I started my own podcast, the Social Media Magic Podcast. I started selling templates for blog posts and templates for product descriptions. Basically just anything I was finding that, oh, this could be helpful. That's the same mindset that I have today. I don't want to say it's not strategic. Of course it is. I do my keyword research. I do social listening. I think of what people want. What kinds of questions are they asking? What are they asking for help with? I pay attention to those things. And I think it's good for you to do those things too. But if you already know your niche, what makes you different, your unique differentiator, why you're so good at what you do, and your brand story. I just told you my brand origin story, and that's something that I'm always working on. Being able to articulate why you started is going to be inspiring. It's going to be compelling. It's going to make people want to follow you on social media. It's going to make people want to buy more from you, and then eventually become part of your audience and want to buy from other offers you end up offering down the road. This is actually a little clip of my membership, the Grow Your Group Journey, which is perfect if you are wanting to grow your email list and you're wanting to get into building your own audience because you know that you don't just want to rely on TPT for marketing, traffic, and sales anymore. Then I'm your girl for that. This is a snapshot of one of the first lessons in there. A lot of times people want to get right into the planning and the doing, and I understand why. And we do a lot of practical stuff in there. I'm constantly sharing group growth campaign ideas. The way that I've been able to really grow my audiences is through Facebook groups, because I use Facebook groups to get people's emails, to start conversations, to sell in there and to nurture them, to ask questions, to do market research. But really, this is the stuff that you want to think about before diving into all that, because you're building a brand, which is the personality of your business, along with the actual business model of what am I going to sell, who am I going to sell to, how am I going to grow my audience? What is your purpose for your business? What is your why? What are your values? What are those things through which you're going to make those decisions about what is aligned with you, what isn't, and how are you going to decide that quickly? Because a lot of things will come your way that you might want to say yes to, but then upon really thinking about it, it might not actually be aligned with what you want, what you need, what you believe, and or how you want to do business, or even with your business goals in general. For example, maybe you're a really good speaker, but you know that if you were to become a paid speaker, you'd be gone from home all the time and you don't want that. Or maybe you like the idea of offering done-for-you services or coaching, but you don't want to be live on camera with people. You want everything to be done asynchronously so you can be in your pajamas all the time. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to be able to figure out what are your decision-making filters, and that comes from your values. So starting with your personal values and then bringing them over into your business. And then your business's mission. Why does your business exist? So you have your personal mission, that's your purpose, like here in life, that is coming through in your business. But then you have your business's mission. Why does your business exist? It can be something as simple as to help every student become fluent with their math facts. It could be something like that. It doesn't have to be some big grandiose thing. That's where your business's vision comes in. But your mission is, what are we looking to do right now with our business? Or you could have the business's money goals in a way. I used to work for this hotel, and the hotel was part of a hotel portfolio group. Their mission was to create customers for life, which is really simple. But what does that mean? Well, that means we have to have good customer service if we're going to have them come back, right? So think about that. What is the business's mission? And then what is the business's vision? And if you just Google mission statement and vision statements for businesses, you can kind of see what the difference is and play with it. You'll probably have to do a little bit of thinking on this, but you're not just a TPT seller or a teacher seller. You have a company, right? You have a company. So let's start thinking like company owners. I don't like saying CEO because you don't have to be the CEO if you don't want to. You can be the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer. You can be the CFO. You can be the CTO, Chief Technology Officer. And you can have someone take on the CEO role later if you want to. You get to choose. That's the cool thing. But having this will drive you closer to really thinking about the kind of business you want to have and also the kind of life that you want to have. Okay, how are you feeling? Really check in with yourself. Check in with how you're feeling emotionally, physically. Sometimes just taking a minute to breathe deeply with your feet on the ground, with yourself relaxed, feel your shoulders come down. It really does do a wonder, not only for you and your nervous system, but for your decision-making capabilities and for your life and your business. Let's list some action steps for you so that you can make this really tangible, practical, and doable. First, I want you to review those journal questions that you would have either screenshotted, wrote down, took a picture of, or if you didn't do any of those, go back to them and do that. You'll also get the presentation slides, I believe, and really take some time to think about them. I know you're probably thinking you don't have a lot of time to do this stuff, and so you only want to focus on the practical things, but I'm telling you, that stuff is vital. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're running around like a headless chicken, trying to do all the things, not really succeeding in all of them. Get really clear and focused and think about what are those essential things I really need to be doing, and also be really honest with yourself and know yourself. What do you want? What do you like? Don't just do something because somebody else says you're going to be successful with it. Because even if it's true, if it doesn't match with your values or your goals for your life and your business and your lifestyle, it's not going to get you closer to where you truly want to be. I really do think the best thing you can do as far as your business is knowing yourself. As silly and cheesy as that sounds, you have to be able to know who you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what triggers you, what motivates you, what inspires you. That way you can make those decisions. That comes to your values. So this is, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it's a journey of self-discovery, as cheesy as it is. But you really do have to know yourself, because these next few things I'm going to say that are action steps also deal with a little bit of self-discovery. Know your real why. Go through those journaling questions and decide that and figure out what that is. Money itself has no value. It's what money can provide for us. So you want more time to do what? To spend time with your kids, your grandkids, to travel the world? And if you want to travel, why do you want to travel? Because you believe that life should be filled with new experiences. Because we only have one life. See, you're starting to see your value and belief system when you get deeper. So get deep. Take the time to really do that. Know the kind of lifestyle you want to live. I don't have any kids right now. I have a lot of freedom and flexibility. Actually, as you're watching this, I am in either Argentina or Antarctica right now, which is super exciting. What an amazing thing that we can do this business anywhere, right? So what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Traveling might be horrible to you. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you want to be at home in pajamas all the time. That is okay. It's all okay. You get to decide. But if you know that you want a certain kind of lifestyle, don't make decisions that are going to take you away from that. If you don't like getting on the camera for live coaching calls, don't do live coaching calls. If you know that you only want to do printables and you don't really care about digital products, don't do that. You don't have to. You have to make decisions in a life that works for you. And I really do think that lifestyle design is one of the best things we can do for ourselves, and nobody else can do that. We cannot outsource that work to anybody else. We have to do it for ourselves. Once you know your why and the kind of lifestyle you want to have, set realistic goals and milestones to help you get there. The TPT milestones are great, by the way, if you're focusing primarily on Teachers Pay Teachers. But that first one, 20,000 I think it is, can be really far off if you're new or if you're just not making that much money yet. So set your own goals and milestones. This is one of the first activities I have you do in the Grow Your Group journey, which I'll be talking about in a minute. As far as your overall marketing strategy, I'm going to give you a super simple one, and this can save you hours of courses, of listening to podcasts if you do these 3 things. Number 1, have a way to be found. This can be SEO on a blog. This can be SEO on TPT directly. This can be guesting on podcasts. This can be YouTube. Have a way to get discovered, and start with 1 if you don't have one already. Number 2, you need a place to nurture the audience you already have. Even if you feel like you don't have an audience, you probably do, even if it's small. You have friends and family who may or may not be in your ideal target market, but they could get you in front of people who can. You have TPT store followers, probably. Maybe you have some email list, or a Facebook group, or Instagram, or TikTok. You have somebody somewhere. If nobody is in your proper audience yet, then I want you to pick one way that you're going to start nurturing them, because remember, you already decided a way to get found. What are they going to do once they find you? That could be opting into a freebie. That could be following you on Instagram. Where are they going to go? And then commit to being consistently in communication with them, however that looks. And by the way, you can get creative. You don't just have to pick the traditional ones. I'm playing with Telegram right now, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Some people do text messaging, and they text their people. You get to choose. In fact, if you're willing to be creative and innovative, right there, that is going to make you stand out in just how you choose to do things. And number 3, you need a place to sell to people. By the way, all 3 of these things could just be done on TPT alone if you don't want to do any social media, although I do recommend, if you're going to do nothing else at minimum, have an email list, if nothing else. And I'm not just saying that because I have a list building membership. I realize it might look like that, but it's because we don't know what's going to happen with TPT, right? The company got sold and we didn't know until it did. So you need to be able to have your own email list. Whether or not you start emailing them right away is totally up to you. Baby steps at your own pace, but have a way to get them onto your own list, whether you use social media or not, whether you use anything besides TPT or not. If you want to do this all on TPT for now, if you're just getting started especially and you're just trying to get your store stocked up, the way you get found on TPT is through SEO. The way that you nurture them is through your notes to followers. And then the way you sell to them is by listing new products so that TPT sends those emails to your followers, and by sending your notes to followers and reminding them that, hey, I have something new, and using copywriting and compelling language in order to do so. I hope this is super helpful. If you liked what you learned, this is exactly the kind of stuff I teach in the Grow Your Group journey. Even though I'm talking about Facebook groups, I use that as the vehicle to grow my own email list and to help other people do the same. Right now, the Grow Your Group journey is $12 monthly, and I still feel like that's a steal for a membership that teaches you how to grow your email list with weekly live calls to answer your questions and help you work through the content. But I have a special offer for you because you're participating in the Teacher Seller Growth Summit. You get to sign up for my founder rate of $9 monthly by using the code GROW. And once you do that, you are locked into that rate for forever, or I should say asterisk, for as long as you are a current and paying member. If you decide to quit the membership and come back later, then you'd have to sign up at whatever rate it is at the time. And I do anticipate the rate going up as more and more value and content is added. If you're not sure about having your own Facebook group yet, but you know that there's a lot of power in list building and you want to dip your toe into the world of marketing, then definitely grab my master list of Facebook groups for TPT sellers and teacherpreneurs. It not only has the best groups for teachers so that you can do your market research, so you can do some social listening, so you can connect with people who would be in your audience so you can learn more, but it also tells you the best days to post. I actually just updated it so that it shows you the best days to post in which groups. I put so much work and soul into even my freebies. You would just click send me the master groups list, put in your first name and email address, and then you will get it sent to you for free. Thanks again so much for attending my session. I hope this was super valuable and actionable to you. I trust that it was and that you got what you needed. I would love to hear from you and connect with you. You can find me over on Instagram at Brittany Verlenich. I'll put the QR code here. You just use your phone, you open up the camera, hold it up to it and scan it, or you can go onto the Instagram app, go to the QR code and find it from there. Nice little tip for you to share your own in presentations. Or you can listen to the Social Media Magic podcast. A lot of sellers like that show because it gives practical, actionable tips to help you grow your audience and your email list with social media. Or if you're not in a podcast and if you're not on Instagram, you can come join my own Facebook group where I share what's working in real time, what I'm doing to experiment, and what my clients are doing to get results over in the Social Media Magic Facebook group. Or you could just even go on Facebook, search Social Media Magic, and you'll find me on there. Thanks again so much. It was so nice to meet you. I hope you enjoy the summit.